Welcome to our Sunday evening edition of Arirang News. I'm Daniel Choy. Let's start with President Park Geun-hye's latest diplomacy efforts. She left for a 7-day trip earlier today. This time she will travel to Paris to attend global climate talks before heading to Prague in the Czech Republic for a summit with key Central European nations. Hwang Sung-hee has our top story.
President Park's first stop will be Paris, France for the UN Climate Change Conference. On Monday, she will address some 140 heads of state to underscore South Korea's efforts to tackle climate change, including its ambitious goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions 37% by 2030. At the global climate talks, leaders will convene on ways to fight climate change.
The upcoming climate change conference is aimed at reaffirming the collective will of world leaders to launch a new climate system by replacing the Kyoto Protocol, adopted in 1997, with the upgraded Paris Agreement.
Before heading to the Czech Republic on Monday, President Park will give a special speech at the UNESCO headquarters and meet with its Secretary General, Irina Vokova. In Prague, the South Korean leader will meet with their Czech counterpart, Miloš Zeman, and hold talks with the country's prime minister and prominent lawmakers. The key event will be a summit with the Visegrad countries, the Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary, all deemed to be the fastest-growing European Union nations. Although President Park has been suffering from the flu, the presidential office said the trip could not be postponed as Korea will become one of the founding members of a new global climate system. Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News.
Over at South Korea's National Assembly, talks continued this weekend over two major issues: the ratification of the country's free trade agreement with China and the fast-approaching deadline for the passage of the 2016 budget bill. Kim Young-gil tells us more.
Lawmakers from the two main rival parties plan to meet Monday with government representatives to try to iron out their differences on Korea's free trade deal with China. The ruling Saenuri Party wants the pact ratified by Monday or on Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, citing government estimates say if the trade pact takes effect this year, Korean companies could save some $5 billion in tariff reductions. The main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy Party wants to first work toward a plan for protecting sectors that will take a hit after the trade pact goes into effect, including agriculture, which is expected to be hurt by an influx of cheap Chinese produce. The rival parties are also wrestling over the government's $333 billion budget proposal for next year. The ruling bloc has said the opposition is holding the budget hostage for its own political gain, a charge the opposition denies. The opposition also says it wants a formal review of the proposal in committee. If lawmakers fail to make headway, the proposal will automatically be put up for a vote in Parliament on Wednesday. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Two consortiums led by IT giants Kakao and KT have been chosen to run Korea's first internet-only banks. The Financial Services Commission on Sunday granted preliminary licenses to Kakao Bank, consisting of 11 companies, including Kookmin Bank, and K-Bank, which includes Uri Bank and GS Retail. The decision comes after a 2-month review of applications from 3 bidders, including iBank, led by online shopping mall operator Interpark. Financial stability, shareholding structure, and customer service plans were some of the attributes reviewed. The financial regulator anticipates the two banks will play a role in helping to revive the slumping banking industry. The FSC expects the first to open in June. Korea's economic report card for the year 2015 is not looking so good. The Korean economy is likely to miss its target of 3% growth, and other indicators such as exports and consumer price growth are also far lower than usual. Kwon Jang-ho brings us the disappointing digits.
It's been a tough year for Korea, and it's showing in the country's end-of-year numbers. The OECD, IMF and Bank of Korea have all set Korea's end-of-year GDP growth forecast at 2.7%. That's a significant step down from last year's growth of 3.3%. The outbreak of the Middle East respiratory syndrome in the summer caused a lot of damage, affecting tourism and consumer spending. The economy grew 0.8% in the first quarter, but plummeted to 0.3% in the second quarter during the height of the MERS outbreak. Although the third quarter produced a 5-year quarterly high of 1.2% growth after the government injected a stimulus package to make up for the damage caused by the MERS crisis, the effects of the stimulus appears to have worn off, and this year's growth now looks unlikely to break the 3% mark.
There are many who are saying that 3% growth is unlikely. We'll try to do our best, but there does seem to be a risk of a drop in growth.
MERS was not the only factor affecting Korea's economy this year. A marked slowdown in demand from China and other Asian countries has also had a significant effect on exports this year, in addition to the slump in oil prices. The Bank of Korea predicts exports will drop 6.4% from last year, while the state-run think tank Korea Development Institute expects that figure to drop as low as minus 8.7%. It will be the first year of negative growth in exports since 2012. This year's consumer price growth is also expected to reach a 17-year low. Due to low oil prices and a sluggish global economy, the country's consumer price growth only reached 0.6% at the end of October, and it looks unlikely it will break the year-end 0.8% low it reached in 1998 during the height of the Asian financial crisis. Economic analysts are expecting the Korean economy to fare better in 2016, but that is barring any unforeseen circumstances like the MERS crisis. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Foreign tourists who buy goods at local duty-free shops will get on-the-spot tax refund starting January. With the change, visitors won't have to show the receipts to customs officials when they leave the country in order to get a refund. The Finance Ministry said under its proposed plan to revise the current policy, foreign tourists who buy items that cost less than 200,000 won or around $170 would be eligible for immediate tax refunds at duty-free stores across the country. In addition, each person would be allowed to buy up to $865 worth of products. According to the ministry, 79% of all tax refunds in the first half of the year were given for products that cost less than $173. The plan will be submitted to the cabinet next month. Sales of hybrid cars in Korea have hit a record high in the wake of the Volkswagen emissions cheating scandal. The combined sales of hybrid cars manufactured by Korea's Hyundai Motor Group and Japan's Toyota surpassed 24,000 units in the first 10 months of the year. Hyundai, Korea's largest automaker, said its hybrid car sales in Korea surged 20% in the January to October period compared to the same period last year, while Toyota reported a 23% increase. The two companies lead hybrid car sales in the country. Sales at brick-and-mortar stores fell in the U.S. on two of the biggest shopping days of the year as more Americans hunted down deals on their smartphones, tablets, and computers. According to research firm ShopperTrack, total sales in the U.S. on Black Friday fell by 10% to $10.4 billion this year, while sales on Thanksgiving dropped by the same percentage to $1.8 billion. Technology could be blamed for the decline as online sales jumped more than 14% from last year. Aggressive marketing by online retailers also played a big role in the phenomenon, with online shops bombarding customers with email discounts and ads for bargains for weeks. Russia has slapped economic sanctions on Turkey for the downing of one of its jets on the Syrian border last week. The decree signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin covers imports from Turkey, the work of Turkish companies in Russia, and any Turkish nationals working for Russian companies. It also calls for an end to charter flights between the two countries. The move hits Ankara where it hurts, as Russia is Turkey's second largest trading partner, and more than 3 million Russian tourists visited Turkey last year. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who had previously refused to apologize for the incident, changed his words on Saturday, saying he was saddened by the downing of the jet. 2 UN peacekeepers and a contractor were killed and 20 others injured after an attack on a UN base in the northern Mali town of Kidal. French news agency AFP is reporting the Malian Islamist rebel group Ansar Dine, or Defenders of the Faith, claimed responsibility for that attack. A senior member of the group said the act was a response to a violation of their land by enemies of Islam. This is the same group that made online threats to blow up Korea's COEX Convention Center and Mall in October and threatened to launch a terror attack in France in November. UN peacekeeping forces and French troops have struggled to stabilize northern Mali, which has seen a rise in violence linked to Islamic fighters since 2012. Now for a quick look at the weather before we go. If you're in Korea, get ready to brace yourself for a foggy Monday morning with a light rain or snow expected in early hours of the morning nationwide. Seoul and Daegu will start the day at 3 degrees Celsius and Jeju-do Island will be at 9. Later in the day, the mercury will rise to 8 in Seoul, 13 in Daegu, and all the way up to 15 on Jeju in the evening. That's all for Korea. Let's check out the weather conditions around the world. We've come to the end of our newscast, but more updates coming your way at 10 p.m. Korea time. For now, thank you for watching.